I do love church signs outside church that are when they get a little bit out there and provocative and challenging. My favourite one was the one near me in Linfield. It said it had a big sign saying CHRCH. What's missing?
Oh.
And the answer is, of course, you are.
You're not there. Not at church.
And I love stuff like that. But there are more than 70 churches around Sydney that are displaying more than just God's word. They're getting into politics. Now, the election is in full swing. 5 more sleeps until someone new or someone old re-enters the lodge. And the church are weighing in on some debate of this morning. The Anglican parish of Gosford, which says, before you vote, open your heart, that has turned heads. Father Rod Bower is the minister at the Anglican parish of Gosford, and he joins us now. Good morning, Father Rod.
Good morning, Dicker.
The sign we put up a year or so before about supporting marriage equity, I think there was a bit of a debate, public debate going on, and so I thought, well, I'm going to say something about this. I'm going to join this debate and say, there are some Christians, because the Australian Christian lobby had been very loud in terms of its lobbying the politicians against marriage equity. And the Australian Christian lobby don't speak for me, and they don't speak for a lot of other Christians either. So I think I felt at that stage I needed to say something that said there is another view. So I put that sign up, and it got a little bit of attention. I got some hate mail, and it was generally from very conservative Christians quoting the Bible at me, quoting Leviticus, quoting Romans, obviously always out of context and everything else, but saying that I was going to go to hell, and all anyone who believed what I said was going to go to hell as well. All that kind of the stuff that you'd expect, that I would expect to get. And I think it was the love God bit that sent it viral, that caused so much opposition to it as well. We put it up on Facebook, as we do on the parish Facebook, and immediately it was getting, there were 100 likes, and then there were 1,000 likes, and then there were and we were starting to get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and then thousands of shares. God picked it up, which is a Facebook in America. God's Facebook picked it up, which then got 40 or 50,000 likes on God. And so all of a sudden I had the opportunity to say to not only national but international community that not all Christians have this conservative view about human sexuality.
I know. Yes, I know. Oh, I know. I know you've gone haywire since you fell flat on your face. Now dust yourself off, 'cause we all fall from grace. Daylight is here and can be truly amazing. You just have to halt and then start the gazing. What you waiting for?
Going to church isn't the issue. It's about this message, this way of being made available to everyone. When we start to explore perhaps what I mean when I use the word God, we can come close to a common ground, because I'm not talking about some divine being. God is the very act of existing. And so there's a point of meeting for atheists and people of faith.
But I've always had a tearing apart from a sexuality and my love for God. And I feel that I can never go to a place and be sure I'm not going to be judged when I go there. So therefore I can't go and worship God, because I'm afraid that when I'm there I'm going to come away feeling I wish I hadn't gone. And I think with Father Rod it was a stereotype thing. An Anglican priest wouldn't be supporting gay people. And then so I've got to go somewhere to worship. And then it just all evolved around that. And when Father Rod put up signs and others, now I can go to this church and I won't be judged. In my local town of Hilltop, great church, great bunch of people, but there's also a little bit of homophobia. And because that's there, people used to ring me up and say, well, don't go this week because he's preaching this week and he'll say something. And I thought, well, that doesn't fill me with the incentive to even be there in the first place. If I've got to keep watching who's on, who's teaching, is it worth it? As you said previously, why would you go?
Like you go into the chemist and they're like, Simone went in the other day, has your husband got a runny nose? No, that would be my partner, she has a runny nose. And the chemist was just like, no, that was a bit of an assumption, wasn't it? And it's like, yes. And normally, I think a lot of the time we don't correct people just because it's too hard to get into that sexuality lesson. But I think more and more since coming to this church, I feel more accepted in the wider community. We have people of all ages coming to this congregation, and seeing that support has made me actually say, yes, that's actually my female partner. I'm happy to correct you.
And why do I have to feel uncomfortable in talking to my husband when it's their assumption in the first place? So yeah. I think, coming here and having that passion ignited for that good fight that I think has really shifted our perspective and challenging people as well.
I think probably the risky line of putting that it wasn't the message of the pastor, but by signing off with God on the end was a very sort of definitive. It was a bit of a punch, a bit of a hit, and I think that's probably one of the reasons. It wasn't ambiguous. It wasn't, love the sinner, hate the sin, or anything. No, it was just direct. I'm God, and I say, I love you.
Remember when I was inducted here 14 years ago, the dean at the time said to me, this is the most conservative parish in the diocese, and I thought, oh, surely not. He was right. It is a very conservative, middle Australia, if there's such a thing, type of parish. Very Anglo-Celtic. We are the highest Anglo-Celtic population in the country. But there's a sense in which that middle Australia is the group that ultimately affects the big decisions. They're the swinging voters, they're the ones in the middle, and it depends on what direction they are oriented at the time. It does decide who our government is, what are our major policies, and they're the people that I want to talk to.
Now from outside his church in Gosford, good morning to you. What have you got there behind you? What's today's one? ACT marriage equality. Congrats, Adam and Steve.
Good morning, Koshi and Sam. Yes, this weekend in the ACT, hopefully we will have some marriages between some same-sex people who love each other very much, and so we want to support their commitment to each other. There's that terrible cliche that people who are against marriage equity use, that God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. But the truth is, of course, that God actually did create Adam and Steve as well.
Exactly. Father Rod, are you surprised by the reaction that you've had to your signs outside your church?
Initially, we were overwhelmed by the response around the globe, especially when spirituality and sexuality and social issues are thought of on the same page. People find that a really connective and relevant thing.
Yeah, do you get into trouble by, Cardinal Pell or the Pope, or because...
No, they're different. That's a different religion.
Does it go?
No, Cardinal Pell hasn't contacted me, so neither has the Pope.
Or Peter Jensen.
Well, I'm an Anglican, Koshi, so the line is a little bit blurred for us sometimes. Anglican Church is a very big jungle indeed, and everybody gets a tree.
The ACT Marriage Equality Act came into effect at midnight last Friday. Since then, 31 gay and lesbian couples have been married in Canberra. It was standing room only as many flocked to the High Court for the decision, but the decision means Their marriages are now legally void.
This is personally devastating. In less than a week, we've been married and we've been unmarried, at least on the legal level.
The High Court's basically said to the federal parliament that, okay guys, it's up to you. If you want to pass some legislation regarding same-sex marriage, then you are free to do that, and we are likely to uphold any challenges to that legislation. So the sign I put up was Tony and Bill join hands and repeat after me, same is okay.
And what response did you get?
So, we had quite a huge response again on Facebook, as we always do to a sign such as that. I think it had something like 50,000 views, and generally speaking, positive comments. So
I don't go to church anymore because my church doesn't accept gay people. So my faith is stronger. I feel closer to God since this has happened. It's like a testing. You know, when my daughter came and told me she was gay, what do I do? Do I say, oh, well, the Catholic Church won't accept you, so go? Or, I love you, you're my daughter, and you're welcome here, and I'm here for you. And that's what we did for her. So I actually feel stronger in my faith.
I would say to the atheist who says, you guys can't agree on anything, kind of thing, I'd say, that's right, we can't, and that's okay, because we're all on this journey, we're all on different stages of this journey. First thing you have to say about the Bible is it's not a book. It's a collection of 66 books. And if you walked into a library with 66 different books in it, you would quite naturally not read each of those in the same way. You wouldn't read you wouldn't pick a book of poetry off the shelf and read it in the same way as you would pick a history book off the shelf and read it. And that's the Bible. It's a collection. It's a library of books. And so I will approach this collection of books in that way and look at its historical context, and whether what the writer was addressing in that context and the way it was being addressed is still relevant. Someone posted on Facebook that they called me a lefty attention-seeking wanker, and my response to my wife is, I'm not an attention seeker. And I'm not. But the other side of me, and so I often talk to my friend about, I fear the ordinary. And I to some extent, fear being ordinary.
Not that I believe in heaven or all that sort of stuff, but it's kind of, if there is a heaven, it's kind of got to be what heaven's like. Yeah. Everybody is just walking around, being themselves, totally themselves, and everybody's happy with everybody else being themselves. And that's a good version of heaven, I reckon. Yeah. Pretty good, isn't it?
No, you're right, absolutely right.
You want a photo?